Hi, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to connect your Dahua 4216 NVR to your alarm panel as a zone. This is the Dahua 4216 with alarm input and output on the back of the unit. Now I'm only going to be using the alarm output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the NVR in such a way that when there is motion detected in front of one of the cameras, you can hear that alarm output, and what is also happening is a relay is closing, and I'm going to connect that relay as a zone on this alarm panel. In principle, you could do this with any alarm panel, but for your reference, this alarm panel that I'm going to be using is the IDS X64 alarm. Right, now on this NVR, I only have one camera connected, and for this explanation, I'm just going to be using this one camera. So I just go to the main menu and I go to the alarm option. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go to alarm output and make sure this is on auto. This needs to be on auto. Right, now I go to video detection. The purpose of this video is to show that when somebody or some movement takes place in front of the camera, in this case it's D1 because I only have one camera, it must trigger an output alarm which will be fed into the alarm panel of the home or office. So for example, here I've got camera D1, I must firstly enable it. Then it's asking me alarm output. Now here on this NVR, I only have two alarm outputs. You might have a bigger NVR which may have four outputs. So you want to enable that. And now it's asking you alarm out 1 or 2. Now on this NVR, it's got two independent relays which can be used for your alarm output. So I only want one relay to operate at once. If I have 1 and 2 on at the same time, then it means if there is motion detected in front of camera D1, both of these relay outputs are going to change state. I only need one channel or one relay in order to be connected to my alarm panel as a zone. So I'm just going to use relay 1. Now it's asking me which channel to record. So in this case, I'm just going to record channel 1, but this is not important in terms of that alarm output. I've already set the alarm output. All I need to do now is set the anti-dither, the latch, and possibly the region. Now over here, the anti-dither, what that means is if there is an alarm condition or a motion detected in front of the camera, it will only allow another activation to take place after 5 seconds. So that means that you won't have alarm, alarm, alarm. It'll be alarm, it'll have to count 5, and then if you move in front of the camera, then it will only allow the alarm to take place. So in this case, I'm going to reduce that to 2 because it will be easier to demonstrate in terms of this video. And then the latch is how long you want that relay to remain closed. Now for an alarm system, for your alarm panel, it only needs a quick trigger. You don't need to keep the zone violated for very long. So you could even have this at 1 second. Keeping in mind that even though you set this to 1 second, it's still going to be about 3 seconds because it's still going to count the anti-dither time as well. So that relay will be closed for about 3 seconds. So that means your alarm panel will get a violation on that zone for 3 seconds. If you want that relay to remain closed for very long, you could make this 20 seconds. But in terms of alarm systems, this is not necessary. If it was going to be a floodlight outside, then maybe you could make this even a minute, 60 seconds. But because this is going to be fed into an alarm system as a zone, I'm just keeping this very short. So it's a quick latch. The other thing that's important is maybe just the region. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it red, means that anywhere in this field of view, it will activate the alarm. If you only wanted maybe in the top corner, then you would just highlight the red in the top corner. So if you only wanted your alarm to be activated in this section over here, this top corner, then if you moved over here, nothing would happen. Only when there was motion detection in the red zone would the alarm activate. So I'm just going to leave this all on red. It'll make it easier for the video. And now I'm just going to apply this. And one last setting is just the buzzer. That is quite helpful because the NVR has a built-in buzzer, and if the alarm condition takes place, then we can just hear that doot, 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 letting us know that the alarm has taken place. Right, now if you want to see full details of how to set this up, how to set up the motion detection, etc., please check out my playlist on Dahua videos. Right, so this has all been set up. Make sure you apply it, and I'll just go to the live view, and there is the camera in question. And if I move in front of it, you can already hear that alarm buzzer. So now we just need to wire it to the alarm panel. Now at the back of the unit, you should see a connector which says NO1 and C1. NO1 stands for normally open relay 1 and C1 stands for common 1. Common 1, C1 meaning relay 1's common. Right, I just have my multimeter here and I'm just showing you the continuity. Continuity measures a dead short and you can see the multimeter is showing me 0 and it's making that buzzer from the multimeter telling me it's a short circuit. So the relay which is sitting here is connected on NO1 and C1. That is the relay output. So if I want to connect the NVR as a zone to my alarm system, I'm only working with these two connections. Now on other NVRs or on different models, you might find that it doesn't look like this. So what you're going to be looking for is NO1 and C1, and I'm going to quickly show you how to test that they are the correct terminals. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect my one lead to that terminal and my other lead to that terminal. So I have my two leads connected to the output of that relay. The polarity is irrelevant because the relay is just acting as a switch, a magnetically controlled switch, just to open and close these two terminals. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move in front of the camera and notice how the NVR makes that alarm, and also notice how the contacts have become a short circuit, and also notice that was about 3 or 4 seconds. Right, if I demonstrate that again, notice it's an open circuit, but when I get in the way of the camera, motion detected, short circuit across those relay terminals, counting down to 1, 0, relay opens. So we can see that this relay output is functional, and what is happening is this is a normally open relay connection, which is why it says NO1 and C1, normally open 1. So that means that when you're connecting this zone, you have to connect it as a normally open zone, and that has implications for the type of alarm panel you're using, and I'll now demonstrate that. Right over here I have the alarm panel, and I'm going to be using zone 1 as the zone for the NVR. I've already wired these two wires to zone 1. You can see there 1 and the ground. So zone 1 has these fly leads connected. Now this alarm requires a terminating resistor to be placed either in series or in parallel, depending on whether the sensor or the NVR in this case is a normally open or normally closed contact. Now where this comes from is your alarm sensors. For example, here's a passive infrared sensor. When the sensor detects motion, it has these normally closed contacts. When the normally closed contacts open, it's telling the alarm panel that an alarm condition has taken place. But some sensors work in the reverse. They are normally open, and when there is an alarm condition, the read relay closes when there's an alarm condition rather than opening. Now in the case of the NVR, this is what is happening. The NVR sends a closed signal to tell you there's an alarm. Whereas on usual circuits, an open circuit would normally tell you there's an alarm. So in terms of this PIR, the alarm panel would expect an open circuit to be an alarm. But here on the NVR, an open circuit is not an alarm signal. So what we need to do is we need to connect this in such a way that we're telling the alarm panel that an open circuit is actually a safe situation or an unviolated zone. Now the way to do that on this alarm system is to connect the resistor in parallel. Right, I just have a quick wiring diagram to explain the wiring connections. Now over here I'm going to be connecting to my first zone. So this is the positive of the zone and there's the negative. And notice that the NVR is an open circuit when it is unviolated, means there's no motion detected. The output of the NVR is currently off, meaning that the NVR is not sending an alarm signal. Now when it's in the off position, the relay is normally open. So this is the wiring layout for such alarm system. Now I'm demonstrating that with reference to the IDS X64 alarm system or the IDS alarm systems. Now notice that I have a resistor across the zone. Look, this is a 3K3 resistor. If you're wondering why it's 3,300 ohms, well, that is unique to this alarm system. So this would be the resistor that you'd use. It is orange, orange, red, and that gives you your 3,300 ohms. Please check your manual of your alarm system to check the normally open versus normally closed setup and also the terminating resistor value. Now having a look here, we can see that I've connected the terminating resistor in parallel with the zone. So So there's the zone and there's that resistor. Then in parallel to the resistor, I now connect the NVR's alarm output. Notice there is the NO1, normally open 1, and there is the C1 as I showed earlier in the video. If you connect these the other way around, it really doesn't matter because all this is a switch. Right now there is no alarm condition, and then we'd have a voltage present across this resistor, and that constant voltage tells the alarm system that there is no alarm condition. When this relay contact closes and it becomes a closed circuit because of an alarm condition, there's now motion detected in front of the camera. This 3300 ohms is effectively shorted because 3300 is now in parallel with 0, which is still going to give you 0. Current will take the low impedance path and rather go through the NVR and back to the alarm panel, which means that this volt drop across the zone will reduce significantly, and that reduced voltage tells the alarm panel that an alarm condition has taken place. When the NVR opens this again because the latch timed out, well, what will happen is this will become normally open again, that volt drop will be present, and the alarm will go back into the unviolated. Now, if you just compare it to the regular PIRs, they are usually connected with a normally closed setup. So the difference here would be your terminating resistor would be in series with those contacts. Therefore, the voltage would be present here. And when an alarm condition takes place at the PIR, maybe there's an intruder and the infrared sensor picks up the intruder, it will open this contact, therefore open circuiting this, and it will mean the voltage will actually increase because it will no longer be 3300 ohms, it will be infinite ohms. And therefore voltage will increase, and an increase in voltage will tell the alarm that the zone has been violated. So we can see there is a difference between the normally closed setup and the normally open setup, and this is the reason why I showed this, because many people do not use this layout and they may be unfamiliar with it. Right, so how do we connect this to the NVR? I simply take the zone wires. There is number 1 and the negative. So here are my 2 wires, and then I take a resistor. There I have my resistor, and here is the other zone wire. There we have it, the 2 wires from the alarm panel going directly into the NVR, and there is that parallel connected resistor to maintain a voltage while the relay is open circuited. I'll quickly measure the voltage. Right, so I'm measuring the voltage. There we can see the voltage is 2.26 on this particular alarm system. You might find yours is different. And different models of alarm systems often also have different voltages. So rather just take this as a guide rather than as a rule. And watch what happens when I put my hand in front of the camera, initiating an alarm condition on the NVR. See, the voltage has gone down significantly. And then it comes back up when the relay opens. So in this case, the alarm panel would register that there was a violation on zone 1. And you can call it camera 1. Or maybe whatever the camera is facing. If the camera is facing a driveway, you could even call it driveway, and then you could even set certain rules. If you've got a camera with IDS, you can set tripwires and intrusion, etc., etc. Right, so there we go. That is how you connect your NVR to your alarm system as a zone. Now, you might not want to put the resistor here at the NVR because people might fiddle, they may bump things. You can put it across the zone, but it is recommended to have the terminating resistor by where the sensor or the NVR is. All right, thanks for watching and cheers.